people raising concerns that Biden was not engaging enough with reporters, was not doing enough public events to really be prepared for that sort of back and forth. The first time he was off teleprompter, off script, just sort of challenged on his feet. We're sort of seeing some of those similar concerns start to creep out of the Democratic Party ahead of what is ultimately the most important appearance of her campaign.
About this, what folks are talking about is the lack of a sit-down interview that the vice president has yet to do since she has become the Democratic nominee. The Harris team has said that she will, in fact, sit for an interview by the end of the month. The end of the month is this week, folks. It is. It's Friday. What do you think is most important for the vice president to get across in that interview, and to whom is she getting it across to? Because I've raised this issue with voters, former colleagues of mine, as well as folks in the media apparatus, and everyone feels a little bit differently.
I think that in this case, the people that she's trying to reach, I think, are the people who, I'm not going to lie, I think that it really does come down to sort of the elites who are behind her. They support her. They agree with her. I'm talking about elites in the Democratic Party, and to a lesser extent, us, the elite in the media, to be able to say that she can think extemporaneously, it can talk about policy without a teleprompter in front of her, to prove that she has the chops, I guess, to really be the person who is able to lead the country. I think that's the sort of focus of what an interview is supposed to do. It's supposed to show the people who are watching, and yes, there are going to be, whenever she does do a sit-down interview, there will be millions of average Americans who at least get glimpses of it, who see clips of it online, the highlight reel of it. And they will take away from that however she performs. But I think that the focus on having this very specific sort of format, she has to sit down with an interviewer who asks her what is, in our minds, tough questions and be able to have good answers. Like, that is a metric that people who are used to watching politics are looking for. And that until Harris does put that forward, people are going to continue to ask these questions about whether she can do it. And I personally think that there is something a little bit self-centered in that, as we are trying to help shape what is going on in this campaign, we as the media, but it is still important for her to show that she does have the grasp on all of the issues, on how to, and this, I guess, almost sort of gravitas that is necessary to be president and carry out the functions of the office.
And so could an interview affect the public opinion and the polling? What do you think, Hayes?
I mean, absolutely. That is entirely possible that if she sits down for an interview, has a home run, or if she sort of whiffs it, that can have an effect on the polling, on how people perceive her. And you're right that polls aren't predictive. They are a snapshot of a moment that we use to try to infer something about the country writ large. It's an imprecise science, but because we have so few days, that does put the pressure on these moments, on things like these high-stakes sit-down interviews, on the debate, because people don't have as much data to work off of as they would otherwise. So small things can have big impacts. That is very true. If she hit a home run, I don't know if that'll bring her very much up in the polls. This honeymoon factor that Trump's pollsters were talking about, that does tend to happen after conventions, especially after the second convention. And thanks to timing, we are seeing the Harris campaign really benefiting from that at this moment. But I think that when she does have this interview with whatever network she does, I don't predict a huge bump in the polls, but I think if it does go badly, we could see it affect her slightly.
Harris and her running mate, Governor Walz, are going to be on the campaign trail again this week. They're going to be in Georgia campaigning together for the first time in the state. The vice president then will hold her own solo rally in Savannah. I asked campaign co-chair Mitch Landrieu, who was on our show this weekend, are they going to do an interview on this bus? Is that where we're going to see the joint interview? He said he didn't know at the moment, but he thought the interview would happen. Obviously, interviews matter. Let's just be very clear. And if there's any question about that, look at the president and George Stephanopoulos. There were many Democrats who said they did not. It was that interview on top of the other things that happened in that last debate that concerned them. So I think we're all on the same page. Lady needs to do an interview. We're going to see when it happens this week. More than that, though, literally, people are going to start voting in a couple weeks. Early vote mail-in ballots are going out next week. I hear people talking about the honeymoon period, but is it quite possible that literally this could just be the tone and tenor of this campaign all the way through Election Day?
I mean, I think that's what they're hoping for, right? I think that they're hoping that this honeymoon period, this surge momentum is being translated into actual actionable things on the campaign trail, like voter registration, getting people out to door knock, like a sustained cash flow that they're seeing right now. So I think that they're hoping so. I do think that an interview is important, right? Hayes is totally right. It's important to prove to the media that she can do it. It's important to prove to the Democratic class that maybe they weren't so right about her the last 4 years and that she's actually can be a very good candidate. It's all about that. But I also think it's important for the American public. I'm not saying that she needs to do 60 Minutes, right, the first time out or anything like that. But I do think that there is an opportunity, yes, to prove to the media class that she can do it, which is self-centered. It's self-serving for us. But it's also a chance to prove to the American people about who she is. And so I think that that's kind of where that
Tyler,
is.
you will have the last word here. I'll just remind folks, we're speaking as though the vice president has never done an interview ever in the 4 years she's been vice president.
No, I think to even go broader than that, it's not just about the act of doing the interview, but it's the act of what she wants to do as president, right? I think there's a lot of questions about what is her policy platform? What is her 100-day agenda? If she's elected to be president, what is it that's going to drive her? What is it that she's going to focus on? Where is she going to prioritize? What is her vision for the American people? I think in part of this compressed timeline, she has sort of taken over the campaign, picked a running mate, done the convention, and we've gotten more life story, biography, and that makes sense for the phase of the campaign we're in.
Yep.
But there's also a phase of the campaign where you need to outline, if you elect me, this is what you can expect me to do. This is what you can expect me to fight for. And we have some broad outlines of what that looks like. But I think there's a lot of questions. Her policy positions from when she ran for president in 2019 to now are very different. She's changed a lot of where her policy, what she wanted to do on issues related to the environment, on issues related to the healthcare, issues that really matter to the American people. And I think that's another huge part of this interview is having her clarify what her vision is for America.